Hello, welcome everybody to today's event. I'm Jane and delighted to be introducing this event on behalf of the Equilibrium Network. But before we begin, I just wanted to tell everybody that this session actually is being recorded. So we'll be able to share this whole event with a wider audience, and you can find the recording along with all the other previous event recordings on the EQN's website. And if you didn't know of us, EQN's core aim is to enable women to have equal influence in the design and delivery of the built environment. And it's an international multidisciplinary network of women and men, and we all have a shared passion for gender equality in shaping our cities. Our network is very broad, and it's made up of architects and engineers. I'm myself an architect, landscape architects, contractors, surveyors, planners, policymakers, urbanists, etc., etc. A very broad spread. And as well, and very importantly, those commissioning the design of the built environment in the public and private sectors, and academia and industry-based institutes. So anybody who supports our aims can say they are part of the network, but we also hold a database of people who are interested to know more and contribute to our work. Thank you. Next, please. We have today a very, very lovely event, but the whole thing has been based on the fact that we are one of a consortium member of the DivAirCity project. This is funded by the European Commission under the Horizon 2020 program. And DivAirCity addresses the equation of social equality, health conditions, and air pollution in cities. And it's carried out by a consortium of 24 organizations, piloting solutions across 5 EU cities. And here are the 5. And we've already held events led by all 5. Bucharest events is the last of these, and we've explored digital innovation, co-creation, nature-based solutions, and climate resilient cities. And we close by looking at what it takes not just to start, but to sustain urban transformations. We've got the most fantastic panel lined up for you today, including representatives both from Bucharest and from one of their twin cities, which is Freetown in Sierra Leone. We've got 2 lovely case studies, and rewilding the wetland in the heart of Bucharest, and a forestry campaign to plant 4 million trees in Freetown, which sounds fantastic, doesn't it? So the last presentation is going to discuss what happens after implementation, looking at systems and skilled people needed to manage and sustain the interventions. But as we move through these presentations, we hope that you will come up with questions and post them in the Q&A function. And then after all of the presentations, we'll have a Q&A event so that you can then talk directly through the Q&A to anybody that you wish to put a question to, or of course you can always post them for later. So my next job really is to introduce Andreea Costaș, who is going to introduce the speakers, and she's going to also facilitate the Q&A. Over to you, Andreea.
Thank you very much, Jane. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to today's event. My name is Andreea Costaș, and I'm a senior advisor within the Strategic Management Service of the Urban Development and the European Fund Department at the 2nd District of Bucharest City Hall. Originally from Bucharest, I hold a degree in economic management and later pursued a master in project management. In my current role, I take great pride in contributing to the development of the district and the local community where I grew up and continue to live. I am also pleased to be part of the implementation team for the DivAirCity project. It is an honor for me to chair the session for today. Before we begin, Just a few quick notes. Please keep your mic mute unless you're speaking. You're welcome to use the chat to share thoughts or to ask a question. And also kindly ask everyone to respect allocated time. Now, I would like to introduce the first of our speakers today, Dan Bărbulescu. Dan is the director of the Bucharest Natural Park Association, the organization behind Romania's first urban nature park and Bucharest's largest green space since 1989. He also served on the Consultative Council for Sustainable Development, advising the Romanian government on its national sustainability strategy, combining academic expertise with hands-on conservation. Dan leads efforts to protect urban biodiversity and ensure cities remain livable for future generations. Dan, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. I'm Dan from the Bucharest Natural Park Association. This is a Romanian NGO. We work in nature conservation and in providing access to nature for the people living in urban areas. So we work in urban area with nature conservation, nature restoration. And today I'm going to present you in the next 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, a project and a case study we work in since 2023. The project is Natalie. Natalie is a European funded project through Horizon program. And it started in 2023. It's a small mistake. So it started 2 years ago in 2023 and will finish in 2028. It's a project about nature-based solution for climate resilience. It focuses to achieve transformative adaptation to climate change. In Romania, under the Natalie project, we work together with two partners, Business Development Group, a company, and the municipality district number 4 in Bucharest. The project, it's a big project, a huge, I would say, 43 partners, 13 countries, 8 case studies, and 4 follower case studies. And in Romania, we have the Bucharest Natural Park as a case study. And we can go to the next slide, where I illustrated our case study with a aerial photo showing the park. It's a nature protected area established in 2016 in May. So next month will be 9 years old. It was established as a nature protected area according to the category number 5 of IUCN. So we're talking about protected landscape. My organization coordinated and implemented a campaign of achieving this huge event of having the first nature protected area in Bucharest. It's 4 kilometers to the city center, and it also has an interesting history because, and we can go to the next slide, it was a former lake, a former water retention polder built by the communist regime. And I illustrated this with this slide, having in the left a picture made in 1989 and in the right another one in 2019, approximately from the same angle, showing an empty and abandoned lake after the Romanian Revolution and a place full of nature after 25 years. And we can go to the next slide, please. Another picture illustrating the first attempt to fill the lake with water. This was in November, December 1989. And the picture with a lot of flowers, 2019. So it's a project by nature recovering an abandoned place. It's a project, it's a place about new nature, let's say. And especially Bucharest Natural Park has a valuable and diverse biodiversity. We're talking about more than 600 of species, and the next slide will illustrate this. We're talking about mammals, birds, butterflies, and in the right up corner, an otter that was pictured by a trap camera having the city lights in the back. So with this picture, we convince the Romanian authorities that this place is available and needs protection. But we're talking about a wetland in the city, a huge space, 183 hectares, is very exposed and very exposed from the point of view that it's a wetland. So it's dependent on precipitation, dependent on climate scenarios. And I would like to illustrate how the landscape has changed in the last 10 years. So we can go to the next slide to see a picture, two pictures actually, one of it made in July 2014 and another one in August 2024. So we can perceive a decrease of the water level. Next slide, please. Same situation, picture from 2014 and 2024. Pictures made approximately from the same angle, showing the problem of the level of the water. So this is the big issue, and by Natalie project, in this case study, we're trying to approach this situation of losing water and, as you can imagine, losing biodiversity related to water. But we also have scenarios like this. Next slide, please. This is also a picture illustrating the losing of water. And if we go to the next one, we also have, after the rainfalls during the summer, situation of floodings in the neighborhood. So I illustrated here with places very close to the park. Same, next slide. Yes, this is a bridge very close to the Bucharest Natural Park. This is Lumea Copiilor Park, another green space close to Bucharest. So we have this problem, and if we go to the next slide, we can see a map. Yes, with areas that flood in summer following heavy rainfalls, with blue and the shape of the Bucharest Park areas becoming increasingly arid and losing the water and also losing biodiversity. I forgot to say that the Bucharest Natural Park is under the municipality of Bucharest that have created a special management service, the Park Management Service, and we collaborate with the Park Management Service of the municipality of Bucharest in order to find out solutions to this problem. So maybe you already figure out what will be the approach under the Natalie. And if we go to the next slide, we have a three steps intervention. One, collecting the rainwater from the mall, which is close to the park in the first picture. The second picture, creation of a drainage system to capture water from the terrace close to the park. And three, maybe this is a medium and long-term scenario to develop infrastructure capable of capturing rainwater from the neighborhood. So from the streets you already saw in the previous slides that were flooded after the rainfalls in the summer. Next slide, please.
Dan, you have 2 minutes left.
2 minutes, yes. We already started to work on the step number one, using the water from the mall, the Sun Plaza commercial gallery, which is close to the park. And we made the preliminary studies, the topographical. In the right is the first technical project. And we also have started to work on the climate and hydrological models. So we can go to the next slide. This is an evolution of temperature. We can see an increase of the temperature from 2003 and a decrease of precipitation. And the next slide, it's comparison between precipitation and evapotranspiration. So we can see that during the summer, evapotranspiration is big, and of course, precipitation are at the lowest level. So the first NBS, first nature-based solution to restore the nature, will be in the next slide, please. This is a general sketch, the general picture of the project, collecting the water, biofiltering the rainwater from the roof, and then pumping in the park in order to restore the threatened wildlife habitats. And the results we're planning to achieve even from this year, 2025, because we plan to start our NBS this summer or the first part of the fall, are in the next slides. Yes, as I said, restoring and protecting the breeding grounds of amphibians, recreate habitats for wildlife, especially for birds and amphibians, landscape improvement, and very important because we're talking about nature, urban nature area, to support nature education activities for children and for their parents and other visitors. So in 10 minutes or 9 minutes, this is my presentation. Of course, if you have questions or, I don't know, ideas or observations, I'm here to take them. Thank you very much. We can go to the next slide where we can see our contacts for the Natalie Project. General information, go to natalieproject.eu. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, not on X. We don't have anymore an account on X, but on the Blue Sky, for example. If you search for Natalie Project, we will be there. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much, Dan, for your for that insightful presentation. We will now continue with our next speakers, Eugenia and Hedda from Freetown. Eugenia is chief heat officer in Freetown, Sierra Leone, the first in Africa, and senior heat strategics for the continent. Name one of Time's 100 next most influential people in 2022. She leads efforts to boost heat resilience across 30 African cities by 2030. A driving force behind Freetown, the Tree Town, she's helped plant over 1 million trees and create green jobs for thousands of young people. Eugenia brings deep expertise in sustainable cooling, urban resilience, and community-led climate action. Some words about Hedda also. Hedda is climate change advisor in the mayor's delivery unit at Freetown City Council, where she supports projects like Freetown, the Tree Town, and the city's first heat action plan. Her work focuses on linking local climate action with global standards, especially through the voluntary carbon market, to ensure long-term impact for communities. She brings international experience across public and private sectors with previous roles in Sweden, Kenya, and South Africa. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. And it's morning on our side, so good morning and good afternoon to everybody. Next slide, please. So today we'll be looking at Freetown. Freetown is a very small city in West Africa, and we'll be talking through some of the climate challenges that we face as a city and how we are approaching the situation, what is some of the solutions that we are working on, and how we are ensuring sustainability within this process. Next slide, please. So, Freetown is a small city of about 1.2 million people. And over the years, the population of the city has rapidly exploded. And the influx of people from the rural areas into the city has led to the expansion of the city into the coastal areas and the hillside of the city, leading to massive deforestation. Over 500,000 trees are cut down every single year. And the population increase combined with the uncontrolled development has also led to the increase of informal settlement. We now have 82 informal settlements, accounting for about 35% of the city's population. And so the mix of deforestation and uncontrolled planning has resulted to extreme climate weather events such as extreme heat and flooding and natural disasters. In 2017, over 300,000 people lost their lives to a mudslide during that period. So the impact of climate change is really extreme for a very small city like Freetown. Next slide, please. So, in addressing this, we're using a data driven approach where we conduct greenhouse gas emission in 2022. And the data shows that there are three major drivers of emission. So, at 42% is emissions coming from waste management, at 30% are emissions coming from the transportation sector, and at 28% are emissions coming from stationary energy, mainly through the way we cook and the type of cooking fuel that we utilize, which are mainly charcoal and wood. Next slide, please. So building off on this data and this information, we then developed the wider climate action plan for the city, which is a broader plan that looks into how do we increase adaptation, but also mitigate climate change, building on several interventions. And as part of the climate action plan, we also now have a heat action plan, which was launched in February this year, serving as a roadmap in addressing the problems that we face from extreme heat, prioritizing people who are already vulnerable. Next slide. So Freetown the Tree Town is one of our several projects that we are implementing, and we're going to present it as a case study here today as to how we're using reforestation to tackle the problems of climate change that we face. Freetown the Tree Town was co-designed and co-created with and by community. And the goal set in 2020 was to plant 1 million trees by 2023. Already, we've gone past the 1 million trees, we've surpassed the target. And the ultimate goal is to increase the vegetation cover by 50% by 2030 and to restore over 3,000 hectares of land and sequester approximately 100,000 tons of CO2. Next slide, please. At the core of what we do and how we implement our communities. Communities are the driving force behind our tree planting effort. For us, we believe that community tree planting plus technology plus investment equals to ecosystem restoration. And so we are working with communities to not only plant, but to grow the trees. So within our framework of tree planting, we divided the city into 13 catchments. And across the 13 catchments, we have 18 afforestation areas. Within the catchments and the afforestation areas, we have community-based organizations, CBOs, that we work with, that includes people who are planting the trees, people who are caring for the trees, and people who are tracking. Because it's not only about planting the trees, it's also to ensure that the trees are taken care of, the trees grows, and there is a system for accountability and monitoring of the trees to ensure that we understand the survivability over a period of time for the trees. So the planting is done by the community people, and during the planting process, we have a team of trackers, people who track the trees, and what they do is that they collect the digital information, they collect and store the digital information of each and every tree. Upon planting the tree, the age of the tree, the date of planting, the geo coordinate is also taken, and a photo of the tree is also taken and uploaded to our mobile application system that we're using. So when this information is collected and uploaded, it goes to what we call the backend. And on the back end, we have people who we call verification officers, who ensures the data quality of the trees that are captured. So through this process, the trees are verified from the back end. The trees are either verified or they are rejected based on different metrics. When the trees are verified, it then appears in our public view, which is a mobile dashboard that we use. So the public get to see all of the trees that we've planted, the communities that the trees are planted, the location, the exact location of each and every tree, and you get to follow the growth of each and every tree that has been planted on the project.
Eugenia, we have only 3 minutes left of your joint session, so I don't. If you would be kind enough to go quickly and let Heather do her bit, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so there's also a tokenization process where we create digital wallets for investment. And in terms of investment, we're looking at different markets. We're looking at the carbon market. We're looking at the ESG market, and we're also looking at impact investor to invest in a project for scale. Next slide, please. So this slide just show basically the growth over time, what we've done, where we started, and what we've planted so far. Next slide, please. And these slides just show exactly the target set for the different phases that we're going through. We've surpassed the first phase target. We're now into the second phase of our implementation, and we're currently looking for investment to plant the 15 million trees by 2050. Next slide, Eda.
Yes, thank you so much, Eugenia, and good morning and good afternoon, everyone. So as Eugenia was saying, we wanted to understand the impact of our project. So we did collaborate with IISD, the International Institute for Sustainable Development, to do an integrated cost-benefit analysis and really understand what is the impact of the project, not just in terms of the normal valuation principles, but what is the impact of planting trees on, for example, infrastructure and property. And it shows that per $1 invested into the project, the societal return is almost $3. Next slide, please. And we're also currently working towards entering the voluntary carbon market. So basically generating carbon credits from this afforestation project. So both from the urban trees that we're planting, but also the mangroves that we're planting along the coastline in Freetown. And what we've seen is from our feasibility study and our business case is that we have positive net returns from all different scenarios. So depending on whether we take a more conservative pricing assumptions of the carbon credits or a more generous one. And I think this also underscores, the potential of this project as a robust nature-based climate solutions for other cities as well. Next slide, please. Yes, and this was also kind of very briefly because I think the voluntary carbon market is still kind of a new market, and understanding as a project developer, how do I tap into this market? We also just wanted to showcase what the timeline really is, and the different process, like the different elements you have to go through to enter this market. So what we see is that currently we have support to develop the project design document, which is the document that we then register to one of the big registries. But there are still many steps to take, so from 2 to 5, and it's definitely a process that takes a bit of time, but it holds a lot of potential. And I think also from what we could see from our feasibility study, this is something that we're very excited about. Next slide. And then also just to finish up a bit about our project. So we are very proud about this project and the way we have been implementing it for years now. And we have also been in contact with different cities in Sierra Leone and in Africa to look into how other cities can replicate what we're doing. So we've set up kind of 10 core guiding principles to help guide the way they can fit this project in their context. And I think as Eugenia was saying, there are many elements, using the digital technology to really make sure that the trees we plant also stay in the ground, as well as this whole sustainable financing model by using voluntary carbon markets. So we're very happy to continue the conversation with anyone who's interested, and also share even more information. And I think, yeah, that was it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. On behalf of District 2 and DivAirCity team, I would like to sincerely thank you for your participation, because your contribution as twin city in our project is truly valuable for us. So thank you. And I would like to introduce our next speaker, Diana. Diana is a Romanian landscape architect with a PhD in horticulture, specializing in urban green space quality. She has led projects in sustainable urban development and landscape architecture, and is an advocate for professional rights within the Romanian Landscape Architects Association, where she served as national president. Currently, she is the Secretary General of International Federation of Architects in Europe, focusing on landscape maintenance, inclusive city planning, and raising environmental awareness. Diana, glad to have you here. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I will share my screen now. I hope you can see that. So my presentation today is inspired actually by my colleague Didier Van Kutzen from IFLA Europe, and he's always urging for nature-based systems and not only for nature-based solution. And I think this is very important because we need to consider many things when speaking about nature-based something. For those who don't know, when you are speaking about green space, the design part is taking like from few weeks to few years. The implementation part is kind of like the same. You need like 2 seasons in order to have a big green space ready-made. But in terms of maintenance, that could go for hundreds of years. For example, Versailles here in the image, it's already for 400 years old, so somebody had to know how to take care of this space. And in Bucharest, we have spaces that are actually already 200 years old. So when you see image like this, they are very seductive, but you should take into account that somebody should take care of that. And also, if you don't know, in the Netherlands, they did only one building with green facade like this. It's called Wonderwood. It's a very nice project. But in order to take care of this, they had to add two professions: the garden installer, the guy that is installing the garden that is put on the facade, and also the flying gardener, the guy that is taking care after you put this on the facade. So they already have two new professions just for one building. Meanwhile, in Romania, we are talking many times about green nature-based solution and green and everything, but actually we don't really know how to take care of that. For example, we are pruning shrubs when they are flowering because that's the moment when we have budget. We are compacting the soil because we don't understand that trees and plants need air, and air is also in the soil. So you don't need to, you are not allowed with big equipments because the soil will go bad. And also we are cutting perennial because we don't have people that recognize what is a perennial and what is actually a lawn. And also we are using the same equipment, so we cannot cut perennials otherwise than the lawn because we are using the equipment for the lawn. And that is happening because in Romania we have zero educational programs in field of green space maintenance. So we can do a project for nature-based solution. We can have a policy on that, but actually the people that have to take care of what we are thinking about our policy, about our project, that doesn't exist. And in this context, I wanted to speak to you also about InnoVerde, which is actually a demarche, I will say. It's bigger than a project. It's actually a sum of partners that are working together at this point in order to develop in Romania the education that we need to take care of green space in general and nature-based solutions. The project started actually in 2020, and it's actually a partnership between 6 countries. And at this point, in each of these countries, we developed what we call a Center of Excellence in Urban Greening. In Romania, our center, as I said, is called InnoVerde. And actually, this kind of center is a big partnership where we try to do different things so that we put together everything that we need in order to have a better green life, I would say. So what we are doing in InnoVerde, first of all, we have a huge education for biodiversity project that we developed in 2022. So, and we have some very good results. It's actually an educational program where we teach students from actually kids from kindergarten until high school. What is biodiversity, where you can see it, how you can take care of it, and so on. And like this, we are preparing actually the students that will come to the high school that we are preparing to open educational programs in this respect. And we are working with the high school, Cezar Nicolau Technological High School in Brănești, next to Bucharest, in order to develop actually also the physical presence of InnoVerde, because this should be a center where people come and learn how to take care of plant, how to plant, and how to use different type of equipment. For example, at the end of the last year, we used for the first time in Romania this equipment, and we also documented this. That is making the soil decompactation, because maybe that is also happening in our country when people are working at the buildings. They really don't care about the soil, and then you have a very compacted soil and you can plant, but nothing is growing actually there. The success rate of plantation, usually in green spaces in Bucharest and in Romania in general, I would say that is very, very low. I was actually very impressed in the presentation before, because I heard about 80% success. That is huge. I congratulate you. We are also using different systems. For example, this is a system that is developed by a partner from Spain, and we are implementing in Romania, but also in the other 5 countries. And we developed a research project on that because, for example, we think that in Romania, this type of green walls are not actually very sustainable. So we are researching that. We are not just saying is not sustainable. This is also part of what we are doing in the research center. We also use everything in the courtyard of this school that we are partnered with in order to develop professional workshops, conferences, and so on, so that we can show professional students, people from the public administration, what we can do together and what we need to do actually for nature-based solutions. And one last thing that I wanted to talk to you about is the fact that we are working with the Romanian government in order to establish the framework that is necessary in order to develop educational programs in this field. So you cannot just say, oh, okay, I am a high school in Romania and I will open urban gardener class. No, you cannot just do that. So you need an entire framework, you need like special laws and so on in order to develop that. But the good news is that we just managed to do this in November 2024. And from this autumn in 2025, actually all agricultural schools in Romania can open such a program. And coming back to what I was saying at the beginning, actually enhancing natural heritage for community well-being cannot happen without nature-based solutions, but also without education, without policy, cultural and social value, economic aspects, research and innovation. And I would say that they are all important, but the first step is actually to develop the education, the people that for the next 200 years can take care of that forest, of that natural area and so on. And not
two minutes, please, Diana.
Yeah, this is my my last slide.
Oh, wonderful.
I want to leave you with that question. Is there something missing in the nature-based system in your country? What is that thing and how you can actually cover this? Thank you.
Wow, excellent.
Thank you very, very much, Diana. Thank you so much to all our speakers for your insightful and inspiring contribution. We will now move on the Q&A session. I invite all participants to submit their question in the chat. We are looking forward to hearing from you. And also, I kindly invite our speakers to feel free to jump in and respond to any question as they come in. Let's see.
While we're having a look and getting our audience to participate, oh, I better stop that. Oh, there we are. We've actually come to time now, Diana. Well done. Gosh,
Thank
you were early. Get extra brownie points for that. Very good. That's gold star. I did notice, Heather, that you're talking about a cost-benefit analysis that you were working on. I mean, this is the thing that is probably the most difficult thing to achieve, because that's something that you can then take and sell to other cities, to other parts of the world. And the concern I have is that you were relying, I don't know whether this is true, on generating carbon credits in order to bump up the cost benefits. Is that right? Do you need the carbon credits, and how do you feel about carbon credit?
So I think the carbon credit aspect was not really part of the cost benefit analysis. The cost benefit analysis was really just a way for us to understand, you know, except for the normal operational costs of our project, what are the costs if we don't do the planting of the trees? And the IISC were giving us a few different scenarios. So depending on how many trees we plant, what are the impacts? So the carbon credit work is kind of, this cost benefit analysis made the case that this is a project worth investing in. But then the carbon credit work has been more with our carbon developer who we've contracted, who is then looking at, making a business case to understand how much revenue can you access through the carbon market with the project that you have, and how does that stand in relation to the costs of the project, basically.
Mm. Now, how do the others feel about this? I mean, it's very important, isn't it? This, Dan, is that something you've considered as well? Andrew, would you like to take over? Because this is your Q&A session, but it's just something that came up, and it's a really difficult topic.
Thank you, Jane, for your question. And Dan, you also can respond to this question if you.
This is what we're trying to model right now in order to analyze the impact of our intervention on the natural area, except the biodiversity restoration, which is also something very important, but we also trying to evaluate, to assess the benefits, the non-material, for example, benefits of our intervention, because we're working with a urban park, and we're also talking about non-material benefits and services. So right now in our project, we're in a phase of developing a methodology in order to assess the impact of our NBS, the impact on the people and their I don't know, the way they will perceive the restoration of nature. So it's a very interesting question, a very interesting discussion, but also it's very hard to assess the value of nature in terms of costs and benefits. I mean, we're in an interesting moment here in Romania with our case study.
Thank you, Dan. Also, Eugenia, I think you wanted to respond also.
Yeah. So I just want to toe the line of Heather and to answer the question, why the carbon market? So the carbon market is not only the investment market that we're looking to. There are a series of other investment portfolios that we're working on, and the reason is is based off the challenges that we've been facing in implementing the tree planting project. The implementation is quite expensive. Because of the way we've designed our intervention using a community-based model. We have to incentivize. The reason why we're able to maintain a 82% survival level is because we're providing incentives for the community to not only plant the trees, to take care of the trees, and also protect the trees. Because we also face the problem of tree loss, specifically around the lack of policy in protecting trees. So the community serves as the protector for the trees, recognizing that there's a material value that is attached to the trees, and they have a lot of benefits from the trees surviving than the trees being dead. And so to sustain that process, we're looking at different ways to build sustainability. And we do know that there are opportunities out there in the carbon market. And the work that we did with the IISD provide the data as to what sort of opportunities are there. And so now we are in the process. We've hired our carbon developer. We've done a feasibility study, and it shows that our case is viable, and so we're pursuing that. But in as much as we're pursuing that, we're also raising the awareness. We're talking about what we're doing. We're promoting the values of trees, and so we're getting other people, investors in Freetown, to invest in the scaling up of our work, because 4 million is the target set for 2028. But what we really need in order for us to reverse the deforestation trend is for us to plant up to 25,000 trees, 25 million trees, and that's a lot of money. So we're looking at avenues and opportunities to see how best we build a sustainable project, realizing that adaptation finance is really very difficult to access.
Thank you. I understand that. Diana, have you got any comments on that? Otherwise, I've got a couple of questions for you.
Yeah, just a comment regarding the fact that we have a project in Romania, in the Landscape Architects Association, where we try to do a green registry, which is mandatory by law in Romania, but none of the public administration managed to do it quite as it should be. And just for you to know that in this application that we are using, there is also a thing called eco benefits that is calculated automatically according to some indicators that were established through international research. Maybe if you are interested, we can expand more on that later, if you are interested in for the project, because it's very important to make people think in terms of money about trees, because money, everybody understands money.
Yes.
Beauty is very different for all of us. Green is something very abstract. The carbon thing is also not that easy to understand for everybody, but money, everybody understands that, and there are several ways to calculate the value. There are like three schools, I will say. One that is developed by the US, one that is somehow developed by the Australia in this area, and also one that is developed, I would say, from the direction of French people. And you should see which one is best suited for you. For us, for example, the one in US cannot be used in Romania. I won't take more time from from this with my ideas. Just if I can answer to a question that is in the chat, in the Q&A actually.
Yeah.
Regarding the ways that in Romania how people can access educational content related to the topic of green infrastructure, I would say. First of all, a great resource, I would say, that is our program, Education for Biodiversity in Urban Areas. And if you can contact me, it's very simple. My email is dianaculescu@gmail.com. I can send you links so that you can see more materials on that, more ideas and so on. Regarding on what you can do in order to tackle an abandoned area so that it can become a green space. First of all, there is Gilles Clement that is saying that when you don't know what to do with the space, just leave it like that, because nature knows exactly what to do. And I think that Dan just show you how nature works and how smart nature is. And also, if you want people to see a green an area as a green space, there is an universal solution, is the best one. Put a bench there. If you can stay there, you can observe the space, you can relate to the space, you can appropriate the space, and so on. So the most important thing is to stay in that space.
think that's a great answer. I just written that down, put a bench there. I think it's brilliant. Thank you. I did want to ask one little question though. Where is your school for flying gardeners?
It's not my school, it's from the Netherlands.
Oh, the Netherlands Flying
Yeah,
Garden
yeah.
School. Okay.
Actually, I know this because of our partner. One of the countries in the project is actually in the Netherlands, and
Yep.
they explained to us this, the flying garden, and what adventure did they have with all the profession that they have to develop. I didn't explain in this presentation, but they have one more to develop.
Oh.
Is the guy that with the AI help is looking at the pictures made on the facade and is seeing differences in on plants, and after that is taking the decision to ask a flying gardener to come or not.
Right, very good.
We don't have a name for that.
I don't suppose you do. I'm not sure the rest of us do. There's a general question. Actually, I think we should say thank you very much to Emma Lewis, because she's put some really interesting questions in. Dan, you had a few questions, I think, from her early on, which I believe you've been answering as you go. But there's a really interesting question which we should really ask all of the speakers to comment on, about projects being and the principles being important in not just built up urban areas, but rural and abandoned industrial infrastructure spaces, which I've seen changed very well within the urban environment. I mean, in New York's Sky High Line, I mean, those sort of projects which pick something which is going to be very easy to find the finances for. Cost benefit analysis must be enormous, but these sites are very difficult. Have any of you worked with any of these? In abandoned industrial sites, for example, or infrastructure, and not within cities. Within cities, it always seems to be all right to find money for them. Would anybody like to come in? Oh, you've all gone quiet. Okay. I think even Eugenia might find it that difficult. But planting trees on abandoned industrial infrastructure sites can be quite difficult, presumably because they're going to need remediation for contamination before you start. Yeah. So have you touched any of them, Eugenia, across Africa, or you just leave them at the moment?
No, so we're not doing that. However, we're planting across the city. Looks at different land use typologies based on where the problems are. And for example, we've planted a lot of trees in one of the landslide areas where over 300 people died. And so it's an abandoned piece of land. And now we're working together with the communities and the victims, some of the victims, people who lost their families and relatives, to reforest that particular area. Across the rural areas, we're working with different cities to replicate what we're doing so that we promote job creation, because the reason why we're losing the trees in the first place is because we're losing land, and it's because people are moving. So that's the kind of way we've been working.
It's a continent-wide view you've got. It's very interesting indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you want to come in on that, Hedda.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly come in also on the carbon aspect or carbon project aspect of it, because doing a carbon project in an urban environment has a lot of co-benefits, because it impacts a lot of people, but it's also very complicated due to the fact what Virginia was saying about like available land space, and also making sure that you have the buy-in from the whole community. So I think definitely if you look at other carbon projects going on in the country, they're all in rural areas.
Okay, that's interesting to know. And any comment from you, Dan, on that one? Or from Diana?
Yes,
Diana?
I just I just put a comment in in the comment section with the project Glasdrake Park from Berlin, which is actually tackling a next more or less industrial area. It's actually a train infrastructure. And also they have a huge natural area. They just put a fence and nature just went wild there. And also they added people there, but people are really kept safe. And this is very interesting from the perspective of natural succession. They have pieces of lands where they didn't plant anything, and there is not actually soil there. It's material from construction sites that they put, and actually the nature came and conquered that area, and now they have flowers, they have shrubs and so on. It's very interesting as a project.
Wow, sounds great. It's not dangerous though with all that construction stuff.
That's the idea, to have people put safe, and that you can do. There are a lot of landscape architecture solution on that.
Well, there's a lot of it about, so I'm very glad that people are working on that. And you're quite right, landscape does a lot of things on its own, but it may not be what people want.
Yeah.
Not necessarily what people are looking for.
Wilderness is not liked by everybody else.
Well, I think people will be very grateful for it in a few years' time. Dan, I was very interested in your view on when you're doing your wetland areas, just how difficult it's going to be in the future in terms of climate change and the impact of climate change. And it does look as if it's we're all heading for a very strange set of climate constituents with a lot more hot weather, a lot more flooding, all sorts of things. I don't know if it's the same in Africa, but the heat is an issue, and the wetlands are really very important for that. Have you been asked to work on other major projects like this?
It's a very good question, and I want to thank you because in 2 years ago we started a program of 5 years by which we want to designate another 5 nature protected areas in Bucharest, working on the former abandoned areas. And why I'm saying that this is a very interesting question, because when we started the program, actually last year, I was talking with my colleagues, and they were saying that, okay, we have this plan to designate another 5 wetlands and an urban forest as a nature protected area, but we have a big question mark about the climate change. Will we be able to have water and wetlands after the 5 years program that we established? Because we're in as far as we can, I don't know, see, we're in the severe scenario of climate change, at least in Romania, in the southern part of Romania, with summers drier and drier, and we can see this scenario in the Bucharest Natural Park, that we're lost in water on a, I don't know, common basis, let's say. So I don't know how our nature from Bucharest will look like in the 5 years, but for us, the climate change is a big question mark in our activity. So yeah.
Interestingly, we've got a comment in the chat from Ioana, somebody who I think must be in the audience, I'm not sure, about rehabilitating industrial sites, who said that they've seen a study about how using poplars can transform polluted spaces because of the depth of their roots. So it seems as if it's difficult, but there are ways. I can't say that having a complete green space covered with poplars would be very enticing for me, but there are always ways, and it's about the creativity of our professions to be able to find solutions, not just here, but around the globe. I mean, to take on Africa and create a green wall is just an unbelievable project. So, you know, sort of kudos to Eugenia and Heather for hitting this. But we've all got to learn a certain amount about this. Are there any last comments? We're nearly out of time now. Oh, look, somebody's got a book. Oh, it's a Q book, the Essential Tree Selection Guide.
Yeah.
Go on
It's
then.
a very new and very interesting book. It's a lot of research, and you can have this information. They have at the end a table with trees according to many things that they can do or not do, like resist to wind and so on. Very great book for your question.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I'll get one of those. I'm not that far from Kew, so I can go and visit and get one of them. Dan, have you read it already?
Yeah. It's actually on my shelf here. That's why
it's on your shelf.
Yeah, that's why I just reached and take it.
Very good. All right. Well, we're coming to the end of our day, and I actually feel we're at the beginning of a long conversation rather than at the end of one. I think thank you all so much to really all of our panelists for really some fantastically insightful presentations, and for sharing their experiences, which we can all learn from. Thank you also for the DivAirCity project and Horizon 2020, whose funding made today's event possible. And just a quick reminder that we are recording this webinar, and it will be on the EQN website if you want to find it in the next few days, so you can share it with your colleagues. I think there is a lot to share in this one. Please keep your eye out for future EQN events on the website, EQN's website. So thank you all for being in the audience, and certainly some of these participants were fantastic. I'm just having a look through here. Emma, I don't know who you are, but thank you. You've just put so many fantastic questions together. And thank you for everybody who's participated and thoughtful questions. And we hope to see you at the next event. So thank you all very much. And we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.